Hi, I'm Dan and welcome to Polar Currency and video number 57, Shipwreck Banknote. You may have noticed that I have a frame on my office wall over there with ocean liners and wondered what's that about? Well, I kind of have a thing for ocean liners, in particular Atlantic ocean liners. Yeah, I'm a dork. I'm a big dork. But not as much as Silver Surfer. But there it is. My interest began with my first real research paper that I did on the Titanic back in 6th grade. Let me be clear here, these are not cruise ships, but ocean liners. There's a difference. Specifically, North Transatlantic ocean liners. There's just something about these grand ships that fascinate the hell out of me. Maybe because they're the only way to travel internationally before jet airplanes, or because they were the largest moving man-made objects in the world at the time, and they were a huge part of the melting pot story that we call the United States. For this video, I got to combine two of my interests, ocean liners and currency, and that finally gets me to shipwreck banknotes. We're all aware of shipwreck coins, but shipwreck currency? This you have to see. Really early sidebar, referring back to that 6th grade report, I learned that there was a lot more to the Titanic than just her tragic ending, which I know made her the most famous ship ever. A fast fact that many people don't know is that there were 3 Titanics. The ship that hit the iceberg and sank on her maiden voyage in 1912 was the Titanic, but she had 2 almost identical sister ships. Her older sister, by a year, was the Olympic. She had a 24-year-long illustrious career and served in World War I as a transport ship painted with what's called dazzle camouflage to confuse submarines. Don't know if it actually worked, but there were a lot of ships painted with that crazy psychedelic pattern. Titanic's younger sister, the Britannic, never served as a passenger liner, but was requisitioned by the British Admiralty to also serve in World War I as a hospital ship. She also met a tragic end, striking a mine in the Aegean Sea in 1915, sinking in less than an hour only 1 year after launching. Now, I don't know about you, but that's good history there. All this does tie in to shipwreck currency. I'm getting there. End of sidebar. Speaking of the Titanic, which did have paper currency recovered from the wreck, it's hands down the most famous ship and or shipwreck in the world. But let's fast forward 44 years after the Titanic went down to 1956 when the Italian liner SS Andrea Doria sank about 50 miles off Nantucket Island, Massachusetts. The question is, how could a 3-year-old, 700-foot-long double-hull ocean liner with a crew having access to modern charts and radar sink in 1956, killing 46 to 51 people depending on your information source? That could never happen today. Oh wait, sorry Costa Concordia in 2012 that killed 32 people. After the Titanic sinking, the Andrea Doria was arguably the most publicized ship sinking ever. Newspapers all over the world reported it. The media went crazy, at least for 1956. The reason? It was all caught on film. I mean, residents of New England watched the sinking on TV.
This is John Tillman speaking from the plane Miss Daily News. We're en route to cover the collision between the Italian liner Andrea Doria and the Swedish ship Stockholm, which occurred last night some 45 miles southeast of Nantucket.
Before I forget, the ship was named after, wait for it, Andrea Doria. Doria, from the Italian city-state of Genoa, was a famous admiral and statesman who lived from 1466 to 1560. I know! The guy lived until he was 93. That's like 150 years old today. Back to the question of how could a ship like the Andrea Doria, known as one of the most safe, sophisticated, not to mention beautiful ships at the time with her Italian design and modern amenities, sink? The answer? Well, When you sail into deep fog off the coast of Massachusetts and the crew really isn't paying attention, you just might get hit by another ocean liner. Yep, the Andrea Doria was struck by the 520-foot Swedish-American liner Stockholm. The Stockholm was the smallest liner operating on the North Atlantic and was designed with a reinforced bow shaped like a knife to break up ice, which is not going to help in a collision if you're the Andrea Doria. The Stockholm has an interesting epilogue. After going into service in 1946, serving the Swedish-American line until 1960, she was sold to the East German government and renamed the Furka Freundschaft, meaning People's Friendship. Really? East Germany had cruise ships? In 1985, she was then leased to the Norwegian government as a barracks ship for asylum seekers in Norway. In 1989, she was sold, ironically, to an Italian cruise ship line, and in 1993 was towed to be retrofit, irony again here, at Andrea Doria's old home port of Genoa, Italy. The Italians quickly named her Nave della Morte, or the Ship of Death. Well, you can't blame them. With the retrofit complete, she sailed under the name Italia Prima, and then later was renamed again the Volterval Prima until 2001. She was then chartered by the Festival Cruise Line and named the Caribe. Then in 2005, she was sold to a Portuguese company and renamed Athena. In 2013, sold again to another Portuguese company and renamed Azores. In 2016, the ship was subchartered to a French company and renamed, for the last time, the Astoria. Her last cruise was in 2017. After being sold a few more times, the ship was laid up in Rotterdam, Netherlands, and as of June 2024, she's scheduled to be scrapped. Wow, what an astonishing 70-year-long career, most likely the longest career of any ocean liner. All right, back to the Shipwreck Banknote. It's common knowledge that shipwrecks have safes. The Andrea Doria was no different, and her safe was recovered in 1981, 25 years after she sank, by marine explorer and department store heir Peter Gimble in 220 feet of water. Noteworthy is that Gimble also was the first diver on the wreck on July 27, 1956, the day after she sank, and he returned the following year to photograph the wreck for Life magazine. Gimble dove the wreck numerous times leading up to the recovery of the safe. It's worth noting that 16 people died while diving the Andrea Doria, increasing the total death toll as a result of the ship sinking by 30%. After recovery of the ship's 650-pound Bank of Rome safe, it was kept underwater and on display at the New York Aquarium for the next 3 years. When the safe was finally opened during a live television broadcast on August 3, 1984, the sunken treasure contents were revealed. They were stacks of U.S. $1 silver certificates and Italian lira banknotes. That's it, but in other words, shipwreck banknotes. I told you we'd get here. Gimble had the recovered notes preserved by conservators led by the Northeast Document Conservation Center, along with 2 other museums. Fast forward again 20 years, and Gimble sold over 3,600 of the notes to rare coin wholesalers of Laguna Beach, California. Rare coin wholesalers then had the notes certified by PCGS Currency and encased in specially made lucite holders and put them up for sale in 2006 to mark the 50th anniversary of the sinking. Hey, nothing like selling banknotes to celebrate the anniversary of the deaths of 46 or 51 people. Yeah, you should know by now that I'm a little bit of a cynic and maybe a hypocrite, but you know what? The banknotes were already sold. I repurchased it from someone else. I got it because it was cool, not because it marked the anniversary of people dying. You know, once that came out of my mouth, it sounds even worse. But I got it anyways. This is the marketing and sales spiel quote from Stephen Contarusi, president of Rare Coin Wholesalers in 2006. Quote, "This is the 50th anniversary of the sinking of the famous ship in the North Atlantic. These remarkable pieces of paper money are gifts from the sea, appreciated by banknote enthusiasts as well as collectors of nautical history," end quote. You know, that line was a bunch of marketing BS and was not just said off the cuff. But then, I'm a cynic. PCGS Currency really couldn't give these notes a straight grade, probably because they'd have to put something like questionable color on them that no one knows what that really means, so they gave them letter designations depending on how much of the note was still intact. A was 90% or more, B 75 to 90%, C less than 75%. In 2006, the first prices for the recovered silver certificates ranged from $595 for a C grade to $2,495 for a star note in A condition. The remaining certified encased notes were Italian lira. There were also 100 multi-note frames made up but not certified. Here's the breakdown of the note types encased and certified. Pause the video to take a longer look. And I almost forgot, there were two 1935A $1 North Africa notes found in the safe. One was for sale as of July 2024 for $43,000 and change if you're looking for it. Speaking of pricing, beware if you're interested in one of these notes. eBay prices are all over the place. I got mine at the Central States Show with Stu Plubeck and paid $300. I first discovered these notes about 10 years ago, and the cheapest one was $500 back then. They've slowly been declining in value. I did find one recently for $250, but it didn't have the box. Whatever the price, you should have the display blue box set, which has the encased note, certificate of authenticity, letter of authenticity, information booklet, and a DVD. Well, that's it for my Shipwreck Banknote video number 57. Certainly a great banknote with a great story. I mean, how many notes do you know that survived almost 28 years of being submerged in salt water? It's pretty incredible when you think about it. As always, I appreciate your time, and if you like what you see, please hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and feel free to leave a comment. Thanks for checking in.